Hi, it's Romy. Welcome to the channel Scorpio. If you are new, then this is a general reading for July 2021 for Sun, Rising and Moon. And if you are returning, then thank you so much for taking the time to tune back in. I'm going to open up your reading today with an energy guide for the month from the new Painted Runes deck. Of course, traditionally, the runic symbols are found on stones, originating from a Germanic alphabet and used by the Nordic culture, really as a profound way to connect into one's higher self. And Sophie's reimagined this way of connecting into the wisdom of the runes with figures, and really brought to light this idea of blending the courage, the heart, the sense of inner warrior and real fearlessness that they had as a culture, and the way that the rune casters would use to interpret information. And we're opening up your reading for July, Scorpio, with Gebo. Now, Gebo, in terms of how it relates into the tarot, connects to energies like the Lovers, the Two of Cups, and the King and the Queen of Swords. And it definitely brings forth this idea of partnership, but at its heart, it's this gift that says, whilst we can come together, I will not lose myself in the process. I will not lose my identity or who I am. And so innately, there's a sense of freedom and liberation of fusing and coming together and into alignment and union with situations, with people, with energies. But certainly the gift from it is really the freedom that you find of that experience and the space that you are able to kind of hold and maintain for yourself. So I think that's really interesting as we look at this month ahead. And you can see that she's kind of surrounded the feathers, in both of the partners here, and all of this white kind of delivering this sense of purity for me. There's something really pure of heart, and the intense gaze that they have looking at one another. It does also indicate, because July is going to be one of these months that is at times going to feel intense, because I think you're going to be asking yourself, Scorpio, really what's true for me in this moment, and do I need to challenge where some of that truth is coming from? I think that there's this feeling of like breaking ice, and I suppose even if I say that phrase, there's so many ways to interpret it, isn't it? Because you could see that as kind of shattering something, as in breaking through, breaking free. It could feel like there's a dissolving of something. And it could feel cold, but it could also feel really pure. And, it's everything about our interpretation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so as you move through this month of July, I think the universe, your guides, the energies are going to be kind of provoking you. There's a sense of feeling under pressure at times, but you're also under pressure to look at it differently and to look at yourself differently. There's new approaches, I feel, significantly by way of how you're interacting with key relationships and energy connections around you. And as part of that, there's a new level of resourcefulness that's also coming through, I think. Now, water energy in Cancer season, of course, speaks the same language as you. And it is an invitation to have these bigger visions. But in order to start to acclimatize yourself to what you want to come next, there perhaps is a requirement. The Ten of Wands is saying, Scorpio, that you have to let something go, or you have to put something down. Perhaps you are feeling under pressure to have to maintain a certain level of workload, and maintain a certain way of being in a relationship or in a situation. And there's just something about that that feels a little bit heavy and oppressive. And, Cancer season really wants you to be breaking free of that. It's this beautiful vision questing energy as it activates that ninth house for you, and deeply philosophical in the way that you're starting to consider how you're looking at things. So that new moon that comes in on the 9th is wanting to kind of break you free from some of this, and especially where you feel either that those around you or even you yourself are sort of slipping into that energy of martyrdom a little bit, because there's no need for it and it isn't really reflective of who you are or where you're at. So we have Mercury moving into Cancer after a long stay in Gemini, again on the 11th of the month, helping you to connect in terms of how you communicate with much more heartfelt awareness. And we have this really interesting energy alignment with Venus and Mars in the sign of Leo. And they're coming together conjunct, and it's almost like, see the things that you never thought would happen, the partnerships, the pairings, the relationships, the kind of coming together of something that you're like, I don't know how that would ever possibly work. Well, this is a month where these kind of situations can start to show themselves and say, actually, there is a way. You never thought it would be possible, but here we have this kind of moment of union and coming together, perhaps for the greater good, but it's this blending of kind of the physical and the emotional. That can be really helpful for you, because if you are finding yourself in situations, Scorpio, where you are really split in heart and head, and you literally feel like your right brain, left brain is kind of having a all-out battle with yourself about a certain situation. Here we've got 7 of Wands, so I know there's something that internally, you're grappling with or you're feeling resistant to, then there is energy that's really supportive through this month to be quite cathartic in that way. Now, pay attention, we've got Chiron moving retrograde in Aries on the 15th. Of course, this wounded planet healer invites us to confront our inner feelings. Never easy to work with. It really triggers us and that deeper wound energy. And there's something about July, Scorpio, that is so emphasizing the need to start to inner parent ourselves in a way that we can start to address some of these wounds. So where we have been waiting for the validation or the external shifts and changes to happen, this is a time to take back control and really start to give to yourself the things that you're seeking the most. And through that, there's this beautiful opportunity to kind of free yourself from something. And, this kind of ancestral impact or, energy that's perhaps been very present in your timeline or your journey. There's something about you being able to put some ghosts to rest, or things that have really been with you for a long time that you're ready to liberate and become free from. Now, we have these interesting energies ahead of Chiron going retrograde, where there's slightly more sweet aspects coming through. And what that means is where there has been work done and you have been applying that kind of that sense of reflection, which I have no doubt, through the last few weeks has happened. There is this beautiful sense of karmic rebalancing coming through here, justice being served and being given in certain situations where you almost see instant results or manifestations of things that you have really started to work on in yourself. And I think that's going to give you a greater degree of confidence and positivity in terms of what you need to do next or what you want to do next. And I think that there is an aspect of intensity about July and feeling like, we have to move, we have to put things into action. It's time to really walk our talk. And at the same token, for the people around you, you are really wanting to be believing much more of what you're shown and less of what you're told. And I need you to kind of keep that in mind, because it is about people demonstrating through action, what they really value in terms of your presence in their life, or how they are a part of your storyline right now. And I think you're going to be seeing cycles ahead of time. So it's almost like things that would ordinarily maybe come along and kind of trip you up. You're getting a little bit of a heads up energy through this month. And that's going to be really helpful, because in that moment, you're able to stop and catch yourself. And I guess, again, ask this question of, is this true for me in this moment? Where is it coming from? Where is that truth emerging from? Do I need to challenge it at this time? And so, this water energy of Cancer, really conducive, I think, for you starting to look at life a little bit differently. Now, there are some aspects this month that might feel a little bit bitter or have a little bit of a sting to them or leave a bad taste. But I want to say that they're short and sharp, and they move forward. And there does seem to be this sense of you being able to persevere and overcome. Now, you've got a lot of kind of almost restrictive energy coming in here with the 7, the 9, the 10 of Wands. But at the same time, what does that do for us? It really hones our ability to get stronger. We get grittier, we're more able to cope with things. And that's important, because the growth that comes from that puts you in a really elevated position in terms of understanding yourself, what you're capable of, tapping into different types of reserves of energy, going into that inner well and saying, I never knew that existed or that was a part of who I was, but here it is. And so there's this aspect of persevering and wanting to keep going, because you haven't come this far to let it go now. And even though there might be aspects that surround you that feel more challenging, and you may even be involved in some sort of situations from a more professional capacity with justice showing up here, or legal situations where you're just, grappling to try to get the balance or try to put yourself in the right position. But what we're seeing, like I said, is a brand new approach that comes in. And so that wounded warrior is saying, okay, we've taken it this far using all of these tools that, over a certain period of time we have cultivated and come to understand are things that work for us. But do they and will they work in the new landscape and with how we are changing and evolving and what we want to now achieve for ourselves? And I think the answer you're going to find is no. And so what else do I need to understand about myself? Where else can I draw wisdom from? And again, this is not about looking too heavily outside of yourself, Scorpio. There's something innately internal in terms of the review that's happening. We've still got a lot of the outer planets, moving through retrograde season in the next few weeks. But as Mercury is now direct, and the communication, the way that you express yourself is much more clear, it means the goals, the vision, the ideas that you have are coming in with a much greater degree of clarity. It's just that what happens next definitely needs to come from you. Now, one of the other things that I think is really sweet to be reminded of is that, as Jupiter is in the sign of Pisces, now it's dipping back into Aquarius kind of later this month on the 28th, but in Pisces it lights up that 5th house energy, and often people with that in their chart are really coming into harmony with true love. Now, you could look at that true love from a place of romantic partnerships, but you could also look at it as coming into this beautiful union with something creative. 5th house rules our creativity, our relationship to pleasure and desire. It also links into children. So, anything that you're wanting, hoping, aspiring to, and that 9th house energy is expanding it. And then as we move into Leo season, you're starting to take action to deliver it and to actually, make that legacy become a reality for yourself. And here we have Jupiter, this planet of abundance and luck and good fortune, like really putting some emphasis and focus, and when it goes direct in Pisces in December all the way through next year, it's going to be lighting up this house. So you should have had some indication of where you're being drawn. So something that's really inspired you, and you've got 3 of Cups coming through here, so it's something to celebrate. We want you to celebrate this within yourself, like where you just get a little bit excited, or there's this aspect of like, I think this might be possible, or this is where I want to kind of move, or here's somebody that I've met that I feel could really be somebody that I click or connect to. So on some level, I think July is also set to deliver real sweetness and good news by way of come this way, Scorpio. This is where you're going to find that kind of nourishment at a much deeper level. And in the meantime, you have to sort of shut out a lot of the white noise. Yes, there might be things that you're obligated to do. There's a really powerful sense of obligation that I'm picking up through this month, and that you might feel, how am I going to get out of this? Or, how will this ever not be a part of my experience? But remember, like I said, where we've got this really interesting alignment with Venus and Mars coming in, and, Leo wants to take things to a whole nother level, and it wants to go big with something. And so we also have some really interesting aspects with Uranus coming through in July that is delivering good news. And Uranus always comes with that level of unexpected surprise, and it's definitely more favourable to be feeling like we're going to be receiving that in the positive, right? And so here you have the 2 of Cups, and I do think there is this opportunity for you in July to kind of figure out what it is that you want to devote yourself to, and actually start to make some wonderful steps towards making that happen. Later in the month, when we're into Leo season and Mars moves into Virgo, there is this amazing capacity where you've already initiated or begun something to get so much achieved. It's just like you have this kind of invisible, kind of determined spirit and energy that just you don't even know where it's coming from, and it's just going to keep you moving forward, driving forward. Now, you may well have help and support around you, but the way that we're looking at this is it's still you that's kind of carrying the torch and driving something to where it needs to get to. And that's okay, because I think there's something quite healing and cathartic in that for you. So you maybe need to feel like you are in the driver's seat or taking back control of a certain situation. Everybody benefits from that when you start to feel that you are really finding this new way to approach things, where to invest, how to be resourceful. And of course, there's that aspect of union and bonding and love that comes through the Two of Cups. It's a gorgeous energy to work with. But with Justice as well, there's something about like things needing to balance up by way of relationships, and where we have had it very one-sided or it's felt like a fight, there's also the opportunity to just kind of step back and say, okay, what needs to change here? Do I need to just literally remove myself from the equation? And with the 3 here as well, there might be situations where there's outside interference or other people that are trying to get involved, and in that instance it's like, is it a really conducive use of your time and energy? Or what else could you be doing with that? Now, Pallas Athena, the asteroid goddess, is moving retrograde in the sign of Pisces on the 14th, just ahead of Chiron. And, she doesn't love to be in the energy of Pisces, but at the same time, this is where innate spiritual wisdom is being tapped into from this really reflective perspective. We also have Hierophant energy coming in to, I suppose, highlight this aspect of commitment and wisdom and how you are applying the things that you've learned. I suppose it could feel at times like the universe is testing you a little bit this month, Scorpio, but only for your best and highest good, because not only are you going to graduate, you're going to graduate with flying colours. And in all honesty, if somebody else had sort of tried to say to you, this is who you are, this is where you are, like, I think that the words wouldn't fall in a way that you could process and really receive them. I think it's about you giving that recognition to yourself, or you going through something where it's really clearly mirrored back to you that actually this is something that I've done and I've achieved this, and this is as a direct result of the investment that I've made. Now, you may well be wanting to invest in yourself in a different way. There might be courses, there might be study, there might be things that are coming back in the month of July that you say, do you know what, I'm really interested in this. And again, sparking that kind of Jupiterian quality of the 5th house being illuminated. And even if you don't begin right now, it might be something that comes in a much greater capacity toward the end of the year and even into next year. So just kind of keep that in mind as this sort of non-linear timing of the reading just starts to spark things for you. We've got this full moon coming in Aquarius on the 23rd of the month, and it's an interesting one because I think what's going to happen in that moment, and we're especially guided by Gebo here, and bearing in mind that the King and Queen of Swords are connected into that energy, I think you are going to have to be quite firm in relation to something. And here we've got the energy of death. Of course, that is a card that's linked into you specifically, Scorpio. And so there's an aspect of something transforming or changing, and you kind of having to come to terms or come into a level of acceptance about what may be happening on the external, but making sure and being really clear with your boundaries in some way, and just saying, that might be what's happening in the pathway, but it's no reflection of me. It's no reflection necessarily of where I'm at vibrationally, because sometimes things are kind of latent in how they are unfolding from a manifestation perspective. And mark my words, you have so much more power and control than you are even aware of at this moment. And so even in this instance and through the next few weeks, as you start to kind of reorientate yourself towards a new vision of what your life plan is going to look like, very quickly you should start to see the results of that coming through. But just be aware that full moon, of course, illuminates. It brings something to a point of fruition and completion. And there's maybe some closed doors and some chapters ending for you that, change is never particularly easy. But at the same token, there's something innately liberating and freeing about that can really help. It's almost like a pattern interruption that can happen for you, and that can be exceptionally valuable, because if you've been just stuck in a certain mindset or a way of being or doing, and just found it really difficult for yourself to sort of see what's beyond, or how can I possibly achieve, or where can I go with that, then I think there's something in and around that point where you're almost being given the opportunity to say, well, okay, that's come to an end, or that's done now, and all right, what now, and where can I take this? And I think because you have taken the approach, or certainly the advice or the counsel from Spirit is that you do have this kind of level of inner parenting and sort of really self-motivating and getting yourself to a place where the way that you value and respect who you are and what you have to offer is in a really healthy, nurtured, balanced vibration, that when this does happen, it's not gonna like knock you off. It's not gonna feel like it's blindsiding you. In many ways, you'll just have like this quiet sense of like, well, I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. And that energy of I sort of knew this was coming is actually can give you that moment of say, okay, now I choose to interpret what that means for me. So the way that you look at something is everything. And what is my truth in this moment now that I have this information, or that this has been presented to me, or that this is where I now stand. And from that place forward, the sun, beautiful sense of just feeling more vital and energized and alive, because looking at time and just feeling like the richness of it and deciding how you want to spend it, what you want to do with it. But again, this aspect of linking to the inner child and being able to heal and nurture a part of yourself that perhaps has been disowned or been a big part of your healing story for many, many years. Anything that you're working on through the course of this month, even if it isn't at the point of coming to fruition, has fantastic energy kind of weaved all the way through it. And you may feel at times like, is it worth the fight? Is it worth, what it's going to take from me by way of time and energy and money and whatever it is that's been having to sort of sacrificed? There's a really strong indication that yes, it can. Now, when we look at this aspect of Gebo as your runic guide for the month, and we have this aspect of partnership, we have justice, and we have Two of Cups coming up. There is something here that's saying, is it about aligning or finding partnership or finding collaboration or working with someone, but also with that understanding that it's not meant to see you losing yourself. And so I think these are deeper questions, and there will be opportunities that surface around this for you, but at the same time there is a gift that is given by way of the energy of Gebo that we want you to be open to receiving, Scorpio. And we have to be careful that it's almost like I can't see the wood for the trees, there's that vibe of just like things feel quite heavy and difficult, and I just kind of almost need to, it's almost like I'm wearing this big heavy cloak, and I kind of need to walk in a room and feel like I've taken it off so that I'm completely open to the limitlessness of the potential and what could be and what may happen next. And the more open you can be like that, the more celebratory of the climb and of the difficulty and of the challenge and how it's honed and crafted and kind of got you this gritty sort of powerful inner strength and resolve, the more fearless you're going to be. And that fearlessness has serious weight and potency and power for you in anything that it is that you want to achieve through the course of this month. So it's a really beautiful message, I think, in that instance. Now, right at the end of July, on the 31st, we also have Ceres, the asteroid goddess, moving into the sign of Gemini. And she brings some power struggles going on there, and there is this aspect of, I suppose, like deeper hidden sort of agendas almost coming to light close to home, and sort of looking at your security and your stability, and needing to sort of find a way to sort of address what is being triggered within you. Your goddess energy card is Malit, and it's flowing, which I love for you. So movement is medicine. Take time to move energy around your body and reconnect to your chi. Look at this gorgeous temple that she's sort of moving around, and the flowers that are just kind of cascading down like a waterfall. There's just something so kind of ethereal and beautiful about this, and it's really sacred. And I think it's very much about the sacred space, and we can negate power struggles and we can remove ourselves from situations by finding a sense of our own inner peace, because in that place is all of the inspiration, all of the strength, all of the wisdom, all of the love, all of the vitality that you need. And in allowing yourself to move and to flow in harmony with that energy, that's really the kind of breakthrough that I think you're going to find, because you're just choosing to look at something from a different lens, and you are choosing to decide what is true for you in that moment and how you want to respond. And I think that's going to be extremely cathartic for you, because you'll not go back. I really think that you are putting something to rest in July, and it feels like it's been a heavy stone around your neck for a really, really long time, Scorpio. So we have opportunity through this month. There's great energy with Mercury fully direct now to be launching, sharing, putting anything out to market. Where you're trying to kind of advance yourself in any way professionally, yes, there may be some challenge and competition, and you're having to kind of stand up for yourself. And where that comes into its own is when you really start to understand the value that you bring, but also you see the bigger picture, not just for you, but about what you're here to do, what you're achieving, why it matters. And then just being able to get out of your own way to kind of let some of this karmic clear up and rebalancing start to happen in your life. Knowing that any of these short, sharp bursts or little speed bumps in the road are meant to be there as like a moment of kind of a jolt, you know, an awakening that says, okay, I was slipping back into something that isn't good for me, or that isn't really the right way forward if my bigger vision picture for myself is actually something completely different. And it's not a problem to go temporary sometimes with situations, because that's what needs dictate. But at the same time, I would advise you to think carefully and really with heart energy towards what it is that you desire for yourself right now, because all of the energy wants to be invested in that direction, not towards what feels heavy or difficult, or you feel obligated to, or that there are compromises and sacrifices that just feel like a huge cross to bear. That's not meant to be your experience. Why would they do that repeatedly for you? You're meant to learn from things so that you change and adapt and evolve and ascend past that. So I think this is a very, very powerful month for you. All of these wands bring a tremendous amount of spirit. You are bringing so much spirit to everything that you do. That spirited approach will really take you far, and people will recognize you for that. There's also time to make sure that you have connection, community, and that social aspect of looking around to the people that really believe in you and value you. And like we said, more of what you're shown and less of what you're told is going to make a huge difference as to how you actually allow information in and don't accept the white noise background that isn't conducive to what you want to do and achieve. So this is a general reading for July, Scorpio. If you want to join me for the extended version, I'm going to go ahead and pull some additional clarifying cards. We talk for another 20 minutes or so. You can find the link for that in the description box and the comment section underneath. It's just a way to support me. I'm very grateful for those of you that invest in that. And I'm just going to ask you to think about a question that I might not have said in the main general reading, and we'll pull a couple of cards for you in that instance now. Okay, so let's just start with this Ten of Wands energy. I quite like the defiance that's also showing up. Sometimes a little bit of stubbornness is just the energy that we need to get through something, isn't it? And here you have the Fool. Beautiful. We know you're going to get liberated, and the World. Lovely. There's such a kind of turnaround of events situation that sort of seems to be coming through for you. Quite extreme energies in some instances. That Knight of Swords is powering through with some important messages. So, you know, there's maybe some legal things that are making their way towards you. So just make sure you're kind of taking care of things and putting everything in order that you need to by way of legalities. It feels like it will give you a lot more peace of mind. You're up for the challenge. I do want to say that, Scorpio. Whatever the challenge may be around you, there's this beautiful sense of like overcoming it with like just such an air of grace and integrity, and really showing other people this is actually how you deal with things, you know. Nice. High Priestess. Do one more there. Yeah. Okay, Scorpio, I am going to leave it there. If you would like to join me for the extended, I look forward to continuing this conversation. Otherwise, I'm going to wish you beautiful blessings for this month of July. I hope it serves you well, and I appreciate you supporting my work. Bye for now.